Shalom. We'll get started here in just a few moments.
Push past your limits. That's where growth begins.
You have to let it all go, Neo. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Free your mind.
Once you can conquer the carnal, that's when you can tap into the spiritual power. Or that's when the Lord will open up the spiritual power. I mean, you follow me? That's when the spiritual power. That's when the spiritual power will be sent. You know what I mean? Once we have to excel at certain levels and conquer certain fears. And doubts and certain things in our mind that the Lord will open. Real talk, I believe the spiritual power is already there.
Yeah.
The Lord just got to open up a certain part of our brain.
No, it's there. Remember, Yahushua said that, which man would take the least thought and add a statue to his, a cubit to his statue. If you can't do that with his least, the least thing in spiritual power is that.
Yeah.
Because it's a matter, it's mind over matter.
There is an enemy that follows us everywhere. It knows our fears. It knows our weaknesses. It knows exactly what is right. We search for it in the world around us, in obstacles, in circumstances, in other people, but the truth is far more unsettling. The enemy has been with us all along. It is the voice that whispers, "You are not ready." The doubt that freezes us before we take our first step. The fear that convinces us to surrender before the battle has even begun. No rival can hold us back as much as our own hesitation. No wall is higher than the one we build in our minds. We are our own worst enemy. Yet the moment we confront that enemy, the moment we silence doubt and choose courage, we become unstoppable. Because the greatest victory is not over the world. It is that which is over our own mind.
Shalom.
Alternative would be
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto my power. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Bashir Hakwadash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father. His true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh. In his son's name, who the word in the God Jesus Christ, real name in the Hebrew is Yahushua. Also give praises, honor, and glory to the Yahweh Kakwadash, the Holy Spirit, which is the force and entity that makes this edification possible. I want to say shalom to our you sincere heart of Akim Wa'akwat, that you brothers and sisters make your bodies a living sacrifice on a daily basis in this wicked and adulterous generation. I also want to give double honors to my beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and who rule well. And I'm the brother Osman Watt here from the Great Millstone Dallas camp, coming back this morning through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemal Shah to do another lesson. And Lord's will, this lesson be found edifying and exhorting unto the elect of the nation of Israel, as well as glorifying unto the names of my power, Yahweh Bashmal Shah. And a shalom to you, beloved Aki and Walk tuning in this morning. And Yahweh Bashmal Shabakatham. And beloved Zaquan, GMS Kingdom Mind, shalom, Yahweh Bashmal Shabakathah. All right, but I want to get into the topic at hand. All right, as you can read the title of the lesson, it says, "The Cruel Lord Warns of Worldwide Depression." All right, the cruel Lord warns of worldwide depression. Okay, and we believe through the Spirit over here at Great Millstone that the cruel Lord has to be, DJ Trump. All right, because everything that he's been, which we know is bigger than him, as it relates into particular laws that's being passed, things that's being done. But he's playing that position as he's been placed, okay, in this position by the elites, All right, let me grab this scripture real quick in Isaiah the 19th chapter, because that's where that term cruel Lord comes from. All right. And this is all prophecy, man. As you can read the title, it says a message to Egypt. All right. And this Egypt is speaking about is not ancient Egypt. Okay. The Egypt that it is speaking about is America, also known as Babylon the Great, also known as spiritual Sodom and spiritual Egypt when you read Revelation chapter 11 and 8. All right. Which that word Egypt, okay, the Hebrew equivalent to it would be Matzazarian, which means double straits. And that's exactly, okay, what you people have been put in. Ultimately, okay, more specifically us Israelites, okay, but the conditions that's being created, okay, and fabricated by the so-called white man, he's about to put the whole world in straits, man. All right. But concerning right here in America, okay, the Lord has given America over into the hands of this cruel Lord. And this is Isaiah 19 and verse 4. It says, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashmal Shah, the Lord of hosts. NLT, and I will hand Egypt over to a hard, cruel master. Okay. And what we're about to get into is going to show you, man. All right, that this man cares nothing about you. All right, he cares nothing about America, making America great again. And this is all ultimately serving to forward the plans and the purposes and intents of Yahweh by Shemal Shah. Let me get this here in the book of this came to mind, Proverbs. I believe it's Proverbs 11. I'm gonna type this in, inherit the wind. Proverbs chapter 11 and 29. It says, he that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind, and the fool shall be servant to the wise of heart. That's it. He that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind. And that's exactly what Esau has always done, and he's doing right now, and he's continuing to do. He plans to continue to do. Okay, trouble his own house. Like, this is your kingdom, bro. Okay, but you see, what is he doing in his own kingdom? Polluting the air that he got to breathe, polluting the water that he got to drink, okay, polluting the food, okay, just completely, destroying his servants, destroying the slaves, which scriptures tells you that, in the multitude of servants, that's honor, that's glory. You see? So he's bringing trouble upon his own house. So, okay, he's going to inherit the wind. And what wind is that speaking about? Okay, those destroying winds that you read in Jeremiah 51, verses 1 and 2, which has everything to do with the ICBM missile nuclear destruction, man. So he that troubles his own house shall inherit the wind. See, they think that they're about to inherit, okay, absolutely everything, including the souls of everybody, okay, in the form of this technocracy that they're rearing up, okay, and the new to the world, to the order. All right, but no, he's going to inherit the wind. It says, and the fool shall be servant to the wise of heart. And that's Esau. Okay, he's going to be servant, all right, to the wise, which is Jacob. All right, starting with Yahweh Shah and the men on down, the governing body and all the nation of Israel, as it is written in Genesis 27, the elder shall serve the younger. All right. So I'm going to get into this video, but before we do that, I want to grab the scripture, all right, that the priest is putting up. Let's get this in the book of Zechariah. Zechariah 8 and 10. The elder GMS Kingdom Miner put up Zechariah 8 and 10. It says, for before these days, there was no hire for man, nor any hire for beast. Neither was there any peace to him that went out or came in because of the affliction. For I set all men, every one against his neighbor. All right. Verse, okay, yeah, it's just verse 10. Let's read that again. Let's get this in the NLT. It says, before the work on the temple began, all right, because this was, Zechariah, was a prophet during the time of, Medo-Persian captivity. Okay, after the Lord gave the decree for us to, go back to the land, all right, rebuild the temple. All right, but we spiritually extrapolate, all right, as ultimately this is being done in in these times, in modern times, because we're spiritually building the temple, all right, the spiritual third temple. So it says, before the work on the temple began, there were no jobs and no money to hire people or animals. No traveler was safe from the enemy, for there were enemies on all sides. And you can read about that, I believe, was that Ezra chapter 4, spoke about how, those different heathens that came up against us as we were working, as we were trying to, rebuild. We had tools in one hand and weapons in the other. It says, I had turned everyone against each other. All right. And that's what's happening right now as well. As we open up with in Isaiah 19, it goes into how Egyptian shall be against Egyptian, man. You see? So ultimately, if you're not a part of this work, all right, if you're not a part of building the house of David, okay, the Lord is dismantling everything that you got going on. Okay, he's got you turned against. All right, he's got you turned against one another. Psalms 127:1. And it's impossible to build, okay, whenever you're at odds, whenever you're at war, okay, with yourself and war with others. See? Psalms 127:1, a song of degrees for Solomon. Except the Lord Yahweh build the house, they labor in vain that build it. See that? Okay, because you got, Esau, you got the wicked of our people, you got these other heathens. Okay, they're all in there. They all have their own endeavors to build whatever the hell they want to build. You see, but the day is coming to where the Lord is going to try every man's work with fire. See, every doctrine, every philosophy, every way of life is about to be put to the test by fire. See? And the hour of temptation is going to make known who really has the truth. As it says in 2 Ezra 16, then shall it be known, okay, who the elect is, who the chosen are. See? So this is a time, as we're building, okay, it's important to understand what you're found, will ultimately to be established upon the right foundation, which is Yahweh Shai. Anything outside of that foundation, outside of the rock, which is Yahweh Shai, is going to fall. All right, so it says, except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord Yahweh keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. All right, you got these different watchmen like Dabu, as we're about to play. You got call for uprising, but those are not the appointed watchmen that Yahweh Shemal Shah set up. So they waketh but in vain. Okay, stay woke. Or those catchphrases that they say at the end. At the end of the day, only the elect is going to wake up. You see, and that's what's happening right now. And they're going to wake up, okay, by a particular, message. All right, this new song. All right, so now let's go ahead and play this video real quick. This is off of Dabu. He put this up 20 hours ago. It says, "Get ready. Trump warns of worldwide depression that Hormuz could never open if no Iran deal." Before we play, I want to type in the meaning of an economic depression. All right, the meaning of an economic depression. An economic depression is a prolonged and severe decline in economic activity. Come on, man. We've been seeing a prolonged and severe decline in economic activity. And this war has been a major contributing factor to it, amongst many other things. AI taking people's jobs. Okay. It says marked by significant drops in the GDP, high unemployment, okay, and widespread financial distress. An economic depression is a period of sharp and sustained downturn in economic activity that is more severe and long-lasting than a typical recession. See? So, we've been in a recession, but now it's about to go into a depression, man. It is generally characterized by a substantial decline in GDP, gross domestic product, often exceeding 10% annually, and a dramatic rise in unemployment, sometimes reaching 20% or more. Let me type this in real quick. And I'm sure the numbers is going to be skewed wherever they say. I just typed in, yeah, of course it's skewed, and say it's 4.3% of unemployment. It's more than that. Okay. But anyway, let's go ahead and play this video. So that's what, you know, the world is going into, is a worldwide depression, you know. But fair use, fair use. I do not own the rights to this video. This is for educational purpose only. Fair use, fair use.
Alternative would be a worldwide depression. You know, the stupid people want to have a worldwide depression, and they're stupid people. So you can only go so far. You drive somebody into the ground and a lot of bad things happen. Number one, the Strait would never open because they don't like floating billion-dollar ships up and down a strait when there are rockets flying over them and mines all over the place. So.
And with those words, I would get ready if I were you. That is the first public admission from Trump and the White House that they lack the cards. They are not in the seat in which he tries to say that we've been in, and this is about to become a disaster. Last week, going on a week now, he said we're 4 weeks from disaster. He said this himself on camera, and now he is telling the whole world that a U.S. Great Depression is on the horizon. He is warning you flat out because there's rules to the game. He said it.
And remember what he said a few months ago, about a while ago, maybe about a year ago. He said, you know, short-term pain for long-term gain. So Trump never denied the fact and reality that, you know, you're going to feel pain, you know, economically, financially. You know, he never denied that, you know, but these average, you know, everyday Egyptians, Babylonians, you know, as Odi Ashawamba say, they just still eating sandwiches, you know, as if, you know, everything's just going to just go back to normal. You know what I mean? It just 2 + 2 = 4 all day. You know, he's saying this at the G7 summit, you know, in France. And as you can see, you know, in the backdrop behind him, he said a lot of bold statements, man. You know, such as, you know, he was saying if Iran doesn't, you know, pretty much meet us, you know, with this, you know, I think they call it MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. You know, we're going to bomb the shit out of them. And like, come on, bro. Like, that's not a way how you know, speak diplomatically, you know, with the rival country that you're trying to come to agreement with. So they're not going to come to agreements. Prophecy doesn't state that. All right. And Trump was put in office. Let's get that in real quick. In Ecclesiastes 8:5. I love getting the scripture. It's actually 5 and 10. Ecclesiastes 5 and 8 NLT. Don't be surprised if you see a poor person being oppressed by the powerful, and if justice is being miscarried throughout the land. And that's ultimately, okay, what this Edomite, you know, kingdom has been established upon, is injustice. Sirach 10 and 8. All right, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches gotten by deceit. Okay, that's how Esau gets down. All right. And he solidifies it with the sword and with lies. So don't be surprised if you see a poor person being oppressed by the powerful, and if justice is being miscarried throughout the land. Right. Now they talking about, I think it was Jeff Bezos saying, let's see. Water. Of course, the fact checker is going to say, no, he didn't say it, but he said it, man, because he's not the only one that said something along these lines. You know, you had the former CEO of Nestle. I think his name was David Brabeck. You know, he said water is not a basic human right. You know, but Jeff Bezos said that AI needs more water than humans. You know, he said that. Okay, you know, they've been echoing the same sentiment, you know, in the WEF, you know, meetings. All right. I remember there's a female, you know, Edomite woman. She pretty much said the same thing, how they got to, you know, pretty much, you know, what's the word? basically, hoard all. Basically, in layman's terms, basically they got to hoard all the Earth's resources, including the water, the air. Making you they're weaponizing it and monetizing it. But let me go back here to Ecclesiastes 5:8 NLT. Don't be surprised if you see a poor person being oppressed by the powerful, and if justice is being miscarried throughout the land. For every official, all right, every official, your president, okay, your mayors, your governors, your senators, all right, every official is under orders from higher up. Okay, that's called deep state. And matters of justice get lost in red tape and bureaucracy. And bureaucracy is, a body of non-elected officials. Let's get that word, bureaucracy. A system of government in which most of the important decisions are made by state officials rather than by elected representatives. All right. Let's see. Really going into, non-elected officials. And these are the very same individuals that's making decisions for you, man, making your body, it's like you're making your life a living hell. And people think that, they elected Trump and put him in office. No, he was selected by higher ups. We just got the scripture. For every official is under orders from higher up. So Trump is doing the bidding of the elites. And the reason why he's saying what he's saying, is because he knows that there's about to be a great reset. He even said it himself that, the system is long outdated and it's time for a major upgrade. I'm gonna play this from the beginning again.
Be a worldwide depression. The stupid people want to have a worldwide depression, and they're stupid people. So you can only go so far. You drive somebody into the ground and a lot of bad things happen. Number one, the Strait would never open because they don't like floating billion-dollar ships up and down a strait when there are rockets flying over them and mines all over the place. So,
And with those words, I would get ready if I were you. That is the first public admission from Trump and the White House that they lack the cards. They are not in the seat in which he tries to say that we've been in, and this is about to become a disaster. Last week, going on a week now, he said we're 4 weeks from disaster. He said this himself on camera, and now he is telling the whole world that a U.S. Great Depression is on the horizon. He is warning you flat out because there's rules to the game. He said it. A bunch of people missed it. You need to share this and get this out there and tell people, hey, if you're not seeing what's going on, they're about to reset the whole globe, the entire planet. He said the strait will never open if there's no Iran deal. There hasn't been, and they're giving 60 days. That is 2 months. That's a lot longer than 4 weeks. And if you can do the math, you clearly see there's a problem. We have people flipping out there saying that you better stock up on supplies. The price of fertilizer itself, they're stating right now, is going through the roof. That the ingredients and everything that you need for all your food just got way more expensive. Your grocery bills are about to soar too.
And this is Revelation chapter 6. And we'll grab that here in a second.
And they've come out and they said Warsh and all them are expected to raise rates 3 times this.
And Warsh, he's the new Fed chair, which replaced, Jerome Powell, which he's super juiced in.
This year, they are planning to crush this place. All the warning signs are there. I've covered them. I've told you it's all there. I don't know what else to say. When Trump comes out and makes a statement like that about a U.S. Great Depression, I'd have your ducks in a row and I'd have some kind of plan on supplies, because at some point here, it's going to hit and the herd is going to stampede in to get stuff. You need ducks.
Ooh, I didn't even know he said that. I'm going to rewind. He said the herd is going to stampede. Keep that in mind, herd.
And the herd is going to stampede in to get stuff. You need to get.
It's that cattle squeeze Yahweh Shah told us about in Luke 21. Let me hold that on deck. Let me just hold it on deck real quick and then we'll finish the video.
Caught in it. You've had plenty of time, advance warning, to do something. So I wish you well. Join me for the live stream.
All right, so yeah, he said the herd is going to stampede. Okay, so let's get this here in Luke 21. All right, Esau's putting these people in a position, putting the whole world into a position to where they got to come to him. You know, there's a reason why there's a strain on, you know, resources, man. But they're using this war as, you know, the cover up. You know, if you want to get shit done, war is always the way. So this is Luke 21 and verse 25. Let me get the red letter. The return of Yahweh Shai. Okay, so there's particular signs and tokens that's going to precede, all right, the physical manifestation of Yahweh Shai coming back. All right, and it's our job to measure the time diligently. Luke 21 and 25, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. And we've been seeing, man, blood moons, wolf moons, strawberry moons, solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, okay, chariots, all right, all different type of, you know, aerial phenomena, okay, which all is all signs from Yahweh by Shemal Shai. It says, and upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Now let's grab this word. I want to get both of those words, perplexity and distress. We'll get distress first, and get the root word for it.
Strong's G 4912, Sunecho.
All right, Sunecho. All right, which, you know, we go into this all the time, you know, but this is a part of confirming, all right, confirming the souls of the disciples. All right, confirm, that's a compound word. Con meaning with, okay, and firm means, you know, solid, steady, firm. See, so we're supposed to strengthen each other's faith. You know, and scripture says faith comes by hearing the word of Yahweh Shemal Shai. And we have stony hearts, so these things have to be repeated unto us every day. So when it comes to pass, let's grab that in John. So when it comes to pass, we may believe. Like, yo, okay, well, dang, hey, the Lord told me that this was going to happen. So when you see it, your faith is strengthened. That's why we stick to prophecy over here at Great Millstone. Because being in the spirit of prophecy strengthens your faith. John 13 and 19. Now, this is Yahweh Shah speaking. Now I tell you before it come. What is that called? Prophecy. Okay, prophecy means to say before, to speak before. Now I tell you before it come, that when it is come to pass, you may believe that I am he. John 14:29. And now I have told you before it come to pass, that when it is come to pass, you might believe. See that? So prophecy strengthens our belief. All right. So this, you know, this is why we go into the same precepts, same breakdowns, you know, chapters, verses every day. Because at the end of the day, Jake, when it come to pass, Jake's still gonna act surprised. You know? But you can't say that you weren't warned, you weren't told, because you were, man. Proverbs 24. And the blood is off of our hands, you know. Proverbs 24 in the NLT in verse 12, it says, "Don't excuse yourself by saying, 'Look, we didn't know.'" All right, and that's Jake. Jake loved to play like they radio, like that movie Radio with Cuba Gooding Jr. You know, Jake loved to play retarded, man. The whole time you knew, you know, he was up there scoffing, talking shit, get on the comment board. I ain't know, Lord. Ain't nobody tell me. Don't excuse yourself by saying, "Look, we didn't know." For the Most High understands all hearts. He knows your mind, and he sees you. He sees you looking. He sees you watching the videos. He sees you walking past the camp. Okay, still scoffing. You know? So you're playing yourself. But the elect is taking this serious, man. For the Most High understands all hearts, and he sees you. He who guards your soul knows you knew. He will repay all people as their actions deserve. So the judgment that's coming, man, all right, it's deserved. And we can't feel sorry for nobody. Because it's going to, man, the judgment that the Lord is about to put upon our people, man, it's going to be gruesome. It's going to be flat out gruesome. So let's go back to this word distress, the root word for it, suneko. It says to hold, because it's what Esau, the Lord has put the spirit upon Esau to do. All right. And I got to quantify that because Esau is not doing anything in and of himself. Let's get that real quick. Lamentations 3. And this is why you are to fear Yahweh by Shema Shai and not man. Lamentations chapter 3. And 37 in the NLT. Who can command things to happen without the Lord's permission? Nobody. So Esau, he's not doing any of this without the Lord's permission. All right. So this distress that the Lord is allowing, he's put the spirit upon Esau, along with his technology and his weaponry and all these things, right? The system that he set up. Okay. Hey, the Lord is ultimately, this is the Lord putting the world in distress. So it says to hold together with constraint. This is the straight gate. To compress, to press together with the hand. Okay, so people, there's a squeeze. There's a worldwide squeeze. And the cruel Lord just told you, man. Okay, if they don't come up with some type of deal with Iran, hey, it's going to be a worldwide depression. Okay. And people getting squeezed already. But we ain't seen nothing yet. We haven't even gotten to the hard part yet. We're still in the green tree. You know, niggas just celebrated Father's Day. Still going to Golden Corral, eating up all them rolls and shit. We ain't in the straight gate yet. It says to hold one's ears, to shut the heavens that it may not rain. What happens whenever it doesn't rain? Famine. You see, famine. And we're about to get that too in Ezekiel 14 and Revelation 6. It says to press on every side, pressure from above, pressure from beneath. It says of a besieged city. Okay, and Esau is besieging the whole world. The whole world is underneath the siege right now, underneath the guise of war. And they're going to blame Iran. Oh, Iran is the reason why, But no, it's because of you. You've been forecasting it. All right, saying that you want this great reset. And this is the way. And this is definitely the way how they're going to get it, man. Of a strait that forces a ship into a narrow channel. And ain't that the spirit? It says of a strait. Hey, all the focus has been upon the strait of Hormuz. And it has everything to do with ships, okay, not being able to flow through that narrow channel. So Yahweh, this is prophecy that Yahweh is telling us about, man. Luke 21 and 25. Okay, this distress. It says of a strait that forces a ship into a narrow channel. Now, section C, it says of a cattle squeeze. I remember what Dabu just said. Okay, the herd is going to, let me rewind.
A U.S. Great Depression. I'd have your ducks in a row and I'd have some kind of plan on supplies. Because at some point here, it's going to hit and the herd is going to stampede in to get stuff you need.
The herd is going to stampede to get stuff. All right. And who's the herd? The people. Okay. So going back to this word distress, it says of a cattle squeeze, herd. Okay. And that's how Esau, especially Amalek, okay, views, the masses. It's Goyon, which he says Goyon, the definition of it is, cattle, which really just means nations, peoples. But, Amalek's, he views Goyim as cattle. That's why, he put the phrase upon, the people that got the juicy juice in 2020. He categorized them as having a herd immunity. Okay. Herd immunity, talking about the people. Okay. Viewing the people as cattle, as herd. So it says of a cattle squeeze. So Esau is squeezing, okay, his herd. That pushing in on each side, forcing the beast into a position where it cannot move so the farmer can administer medication, right? And what he's about to administer into everybody is that chip. The Lord ain't playing, man. So now I want to get the word perplexity. So that was the word for distress. Now let's get this word perplexity. The root word for it, aporeo, Strong's G 639, aporeo. It says to be without resources. See that? And that's the whole issue here, man. There's a strain on resources. You know, and it's not like the resources just, you know, fizzling out into thin air. No, it's just being hoarded by the top 1%. See? To be without resources, to be in straits, to be left wanting, to be embarrassed, to be in doubt, not to know which way to turn. And many people, okay, are being embarrassed, and they're going to continue to be embarrassed, man. See? But this is a recompense for their reward. 2 Ezra 8:50. For many great misery shall be done to those, okay, that dwell upon the earth in the latter time, because they have walked in great pride. So real quick, I want to get this in Revelation 6:5. Okay, as Esau has a monopoly upon being the red horse, the pale horse, and the black horse. He's just the devil. But I want to hone in right here as it relates to him being the black horse and what that entails. Revelation 6:5, the third seal, famine. All right, because Dabu made mention of, you know, the price of fertilizer is going through the roof right now. And I had even typed on ChatGPT earlier this morning, and I asked it the question, you know, I said, considering the war and AI, you know, replacing jobs, is it safe to say that, you know, the world is going into a worldwide depression? And even the chat said yes. You know, but the only ones that's in denial about it is mainly you Jakes, man, you Israelites, you know, because they have what they call it. Is it cognitive dissonance or normacy bias? That's what Jake has, normacy bias. Normacy bias, also called normality bias or the ostrich effect. Jake is a bunch of ostriches. Is a cognitive tendency where people underestimate the likelihood or impact of a disaster or crisis, assuming life will continue as usual despite strong evidence to the contrary. You know, Jake just won't believe. They don't care. See, but the beautiful thing about prophecy is that prophecy is not confirmed by, or I would say prophecy doesn't need your approval in order for it to come to pass. It's going to come to pass regardless. Romans 3:3. For what is some to not believe? Shall their unbelief make the word of the Most High of none effect? God forbid, Yahweh forbid. Let every man be a liar, and Yahweh Bashmal Shah, okay, be truth. See? So you don't have to believe. You can stay stuck in that normacy bias, okay, as if, you know, everything's just going to go back to normal, continue as it is. I'm going to keep going to work, keep working this 9 to 5, you know, smoking my blunt, drinking tap water. All right. Everything is going to, you know, I'm going to be good. Despite all the strong evidence, despite your own president telling you, like, nigga, okay, we about to go into a worldwide depression. You see? Where is I about to go? Oh, yeah, Revelation 6. I got to hurry up. Revelation 6:5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. All right. And that's what we're commanded to do. All right. We came into, all right, the temple, the house of Yahweh Bashmal Shah. Now we understand their end. Okay. And now we're commanded to see. Okay. The Lord has given us the eye salve to see. When you get this word see.
Strong's G 991. Blepo. Blepo.
All right. Blepo, it says to discern. Okay. You're supposed to discern. Measure the times. It says of the bodily eye, to be possessed of sight, have the power of seeing, to discover by use, to know by experience. Metaphor, to see with the mind's eye. See, because scripture says, for the wise man's eyes are in his head. All right. So we see with our understanding from on high. It says to have the power of understanding, to discern mentally, observe, perceive, discover, understand, to turn the thoughts or direct the mind to a thing. See that? And what are we turning our minds and our thoughts into? Prophecy, man. Sirach 39:1. He that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High shall be occupied in prophecy. To consider, to contemplate. So you're supposed to look at all these things and consider it, man, through the lens of prophecy. Not being natural brute beast, you know, and just looking at this shit or hearing about it and, okay. You're supposed to consider these things, man, in the spirit. This thing is going down. It says to contemplate, to look at, to weigh carefully, examine. And that's what the prophets do, starting with our beloved apostles and the men on down. You know, we love going to things like this, man, because once again, it shows that the words of Yahweh Shema Shah are indeed faithful and true. So no matter what, any of these niggas, these scoffing ass niggas got to say, well, guess what? The word is true, man. And every philosophy, every way of life, every doctrine is about to be put to the test. When this hour of temptation comes in its fullness, man, when Esau comes out with this chip, okay, it's going to be you and your faith. See? So if you think Jesus Christ the way, okay, cool. Try that shit. If you think kissing up to the so-called white man is the way, okay, do it. All right. The elect is going to stand stiffly for the Lamb, for Yahweh by Shema Shah, man. Revelation 6:5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. All right, black symbolizes death, mourning, woeful time. It says, and he that sat on him had a pair, and who's sitting on that black horse? Okay, Esau. Horse symbolizes power. Okay, and it's the same man that sits upon the red horse and the pale horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hands. All right, let's get that word balances. Should be zygos. Yep, zygos.
Strong's G 2218, Zugas. Zugas.
Okay, zugas. A yoke that is put on draught cattle. See that? The herd. So there's a yoke being put up on the people, man. Metaphor used of any burden or bondage as that of slavery. All right, and this is far exceeding the slavery of just being put on plantations, and he's setting up a digital slavery. Elder Apostle Ramlab did a video about that not too long ago, man. Going into, I believe he went into this very precept, going into relating to how Esau setting up this digital slavery. See, Revelation 6:6, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, come. So like it, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and wine. Let's read that again. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny. Now I want to grab the word measure and the word penny. This word measure.
Strong's G 5518, Choinix.
All right, choinix, a dry measure containing 4 kodale or 2 satari, less than 1 quart or 1 liter. All right, it would be equivalent to like I believe what they say 2 pints of flour. It says, or as much as would support a man of moderate appetite for a day. All right, now keep that in mind as we go into this word penny. So a measure of wheat, all right, for a penny. This word penny is denarion, a Roman silver coin in the New Testament time. All right, it took its name from being equal to 10 asses, a number after 217 BC increased to 16. It was the principal silver coin of the Roman Empire. From the parable of the laborers in the vineyard, it would seem that a denarius was then the ordinary pay for a day's wage. So a day's wage, mind you, this is prophecy. So a day's wage, okay, what's the, let me type this in. Average day's wage in America. Okay, average daily wage in the United States as of 2026, as of June, it's June 2026, the average daily wage in the U.S. can be estimated from, man, Bishop Nathaniel, he wrong for that, bro. He didn't, but see, the Lord is taking that proverb out of Israel's mouth right now. Every prophecy is coming to pass. You can't say it's June, ain't no microchip. Nigga, it's June, and it is, bro. China streamlining the microchip, you know? But every time I hear that word June, or the month of June, I know that's the first thing that comes to you brothers' minds, man. But that, man, the Lord is shutting up the mouths of these false prophets, man. As of June 2026, the average daily wage in the U.S. can be estimated from the national average weekly wage and the average annual salary. Says the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that the average weekly wage in May 2026 was $1,287. I want the daily. What's the daily? Okay, here we go. Average daily wage of about $255. So like you $257.40. All right, so check that out. Going back to all right, that in Revelation, it says a measure of wheat for a penny. Okay, measure going into, all right, a man that has a moderate appetite, to give him food. All right, what does it say? It says as much as will support a man of moderate appetite for a day. So that's one man. That's not including your family, your son, your daughter, your wife. Okay, that's talking about one man. Okay, for a penny. All right, and the modern day penny would be the daily wage would be $257 just to feed you. So when society gets to that point, which we're about to be there very soon, ain't nobody about to go to the grocery store and pay $257, okay, for some food that's going to barely fill you up, let alone you got a family, you got a wife, and they looking at you, hungry as hell. No, it's about to be lawlessness out here, man. 2 Exodus 15. For men shall evade one another with the sword for the lack of bread. So understand what Trump is saying, as he's saying a worldwide depression is about to be complete lawlessness, and at the same time he's getting all these troops, situated in the United States. They just along with that big beautiful bill last year that they passed at the end of July. When you go into it, part of it, they allocated over $73 billion, to ICE, and also to erect, detention facilities, man. So everything is right on schedule, all right, for prophecy, man. All right, but I'm gonna have to leave it right there. Time kind of escaped me. I got to get ready for this plantation. Hey, but we almost out of here, man. Just got to keep pushing. All right, keep the faith. All right, keep enduring. So Abaratazah, this was edifying to you, beloved Akim Al-Qawath of the Hope for the Elect. Until next time, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to my power, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashir, and Chakwadash. I want to give double honor to my beloved Apostle Elder Great Millstone, who waffle the ball, Shalom.